Does anyone remember that old pixel game that a small minority of people used to play in middle school? You pick an element and you spray it on the screen and watch as it interacts with the other elements that you've placed before it. Am I great in chemistry? Probably not great, but being able to think outside the box or simply just mess around and see what comes out of what you make was my version of cookie clicker as I watched the image of the giant cookie sear into my eyeballs. Look, I've made a little ecosystem, and I have water that turns into steam, and that drips down to water the plants on the other side. Cool. This wasn't really a game, it's missing a lot, but I love the idea of just experimenting and figuring things out for yourself. Which you can really generalize and say that this is just how every single game works. You open the application and you do things to experiment and you figure things out. Cool, Angel, so you like playing video games. Wow, and yes, I do.
Let me out right now, or I'm gonna get really mad.
But Noita is not a video game. It's pain. That sky is beautiful. Oh my god. The DPI on this is like really weird. A game that is synonymous with hell and torture and pain. Oh, that's a bomb. Yeah. Where the objective isn't to play. Oh my god. It's to test how quickly, or if you even can, catch on. You're gonna tell me that these tiny little pixels, bro, catch me on fire too. That's hard to do, though. The moment you start off essentially as a newborn, given nothing but 2 ones, a flask with some liquid. I'm stuck, what the hell? A few stones to stare at, with an environment that's trying to tell you to go down. Alright, let's go. No! Ew, what? Okay, what? Okay, yeah, let's just avoid these things for now. Can I go over here? Oh, I think I'm drowning. No health. Oh, yeah, I did that on purpose. That was great. This is a game with no introduction, where you are then shortly and progressively given the lesson that everything, everywhere, will and can kill you. Holy And forms of preventative measures? The ones that can be mushed together with different spells you find and purchase with your limited knowledge, only to receive the same fate, but this time with a different flavor. It's a game where you die, and you die over and over and over again until you learn every possible mistake you can ever make to then once again realize that that's not true and make another mistake, and another one, and another one, and then I'm walking to the left to give myself an escape from the monotony for a second. Eternal wealth. Okay, this is really bad because this just means that I gotta keep moving every single time. No way. I'm stuck again! What the why does that do that? What's the point of that? Water and lava make obsidian, I know that from Minecraft, but what is flummoxium? And why does it make me go backwards into a fire demon that's equipped with a literal nuke 8 seconds into the game? It's convoluted, and with a little bit of ignorance, you will fail to process half of the things that it's trying to tell you. And I'm being really generous with the word trying here. What is this? I don't know what this means. Here I'm safe. I am safe. I left the others behind, and I have locked my research so that only those with real understanding can reach it. I should not worry. As long as I resist the temptation, I will be safe. Absolute hell. The only way out is not to play. I'm gonna be upfront for a second. I'm pretty good at the world's hardest game. Bloxors. Anybody play Bloxors? That was fun. Some Pop Tropica. I used to solve puzzles on Pop Tropica. Screw Noita, bro. Should I make a video on this?
Angel really gave up. Holy shit.
So standing here and dying over and over and over again was the equivalent of rewinding the same level on Super Santa Kicker and wondering what the hell is wrong with me. Why am I so stupid? I'm not good at puzzles. I lied. You take one step forward, and then you explode. Take another step, and the same thing happens to you. The hell? But it's with something completely different. I was just trying to find a game that looked interesting and fun. Noita is a magical action roguelike where every pixel is physically simulated. Which it is. I mean, watching your body parts fly everywhere and learning how not to die is fun. But not really. This hurdle/process took me 82 hours to get over. That was a joke too, but it was close. I did spend most of that time down here though, which I feel like that's not normal. I really wish my brain decided early on to want to go beyond this big cliff right next to where spawn is with just a little bit of elbow grease, because it also seemed to me like there was some deeper layers and actual puzzles and secrets here. Which was a fun and nice little break from all the dying and taking a pretty decent trip across the desert. I found some pretty interesting things. Oh my god. Is that a meatball? What is that? Oh my god. There's this structure to the far right of the map that's labeled as a bunch of question marks. This, inherently, looks like it's not supposed to be here. The game that you thought was just a roguelike with some sort of medieval and ancient magic aesthetic is now juxtaposed with something that looks like it fell out of a Cybertruck. This structure has ingrained glyphs in its material, and right in the middle, holding a spell called the Essence of Earth. Unless you have something to mitigate its damage, it eventually just kills you. Oh, that's useful. This place is actually pretty well hidden. There's a lot of walking and a lot of structures that you need to pass in order to even get here. Tablet of Thought? What? And once you do, it's placed far above what seems to look like the end of the game. The wall is just completely void of color. Usually, when something is blacked out like this, it's a signal that you should just turn around. There's nothing here. That, and the fact that it's being acknowledged as a question, and the glyph writings entails that there might be something more here to discover. What? Toan. Nabij Toan. This is a G. Wait, this is the same one as a G, right? Yeah, this is a G. Okay, so it is pain. Knowledge through pain, that's what sacrifice. Is that how you spell sacrifice? Doesn't look right. Wisdom through sacrifice. Knowledge through pain. Okay, I figured it out. That took, what is that? What does it say on my OBS? That took 17 minutes. Holy shit. Knowledge through pain? Okay, so basically what I've been doing my entire playthrough, right? Oh my god. Yeah, I get it. You kill yourself enough times on basically every single pixel you see on screen that you start to callous your skill of understanding how to move around and not accidentally electrocute yourself in water when holding a ball that emits electricity. I don't know how the... Okay, what if I drop this in here? Okay. This had nothing to do with my previous statement. Avoiding this is basic common sense. I'm just an idiot. So what else could this mean? Why does this structure look like this? Is this perk used for anything else besides a dangerous ability? Are there more structures like this? This can't be the only thing, right? There has to be a reason this is here. Clearly, I should look more into this. So naturally, with my innate curiosity and experience with puzzle games, I walked away and just completely forgot about it. For me, and I'm assuming a lot of other people in the beginning, we only focused on what's in front of us. The cave, because I thought this game was just a roguelike with pixel mixed with more pixel. Make other pixel, and sometimes pixel bad. What is this? Ah! You know, when the game pushes you to go into a certain direction, you tend to follow it. You descend and descend and descend. Part of you wondering why you're still playing, and the other part wondering what the point of adding the mechanic of being able to ingest mud, get sick, and then drink your own puke is. Ugh. It takes a certain person, though, who goes against the grain either immediately or shortly after playing to realize that there's other directions you can take yourself. Even if the game gives you a little bit of pushback. Oh, I found another one, look at that. It teases you that there's something else beyond what's offered to you immediately. Just enough to be able to spark curiosity, but also not enough to outright hand it to you. That's not what I did, at least in the beginning. I inadvertently chose the former, making my attempts to understand how anything worked. Oh my god. Get in the portal. Oh, not a second, I need water. Cast 5 spells in a pentagonal pattern. Okay, alright. If I combine this with the plasma beam... So judging by the picture, I'm assuming it's not going to cast directly below. Yeah, so that makes sense, okay. Why did it do that? The picture should not... I have no health anymore. Oh, what's the point of this guy spawning in here besides the benefit of just getting gold from him and him actively trying to kill me? I'm on 4 HP. It's really sad that the black hole isn't infinite. I would absolutely destroy everything here. 1 HP. And I just started. Yeah, I might as well. At that point... oh my god, dude, I'm so sick. Hold on. Holy sh... At that point, I should have realized that this game requires a little bit more brain power. It's not just about maneuvering around the map anymore. That becomes a relatively easy part of the game. Relatively. Standing here in the altar, though, that's the fun part. And admittedly, the hard part. No, what the fuck? When you venture low enough into the mines, you'll eventually stumble across multiple purple portals. These are the medium between the level above and the one below, which is relatively safe, and it's also the main way the game allows you to tinker with the weapons you collected on your way down. It's important to pay attention to what these wands say. Some can activate each spell in order from left to right, and others will randomize its lineup. Very cool. There are some that are just painfully slow, and others are so fast that using it for more than 2 seconds consumes all of your mana, which gives pros and cons to both, and it's easily readable because the game does a really good job at making you understand these differences. When you hover over a wand, it tells you which stats are worse, and which ones are better than the one that you're currently debating about using. And they aren't just visually designed to look funky either, they're also designed around how they would logically look. A bigger and longer wand indicates that it can carry more slots. A smaller and more compact wand indicates the opposite, but will typically have a much faster fire rate. A trident-like wand will be able to cast multiple spells at the same time, and a wand with a rhombic core will have a no-shuffle stat. This in itself isn't as complicated as you might think. If you can read some self-explanatory stats, you're essentially in the clear. If you replace the wand as a gun and had bullets as ammo, this would probably be the end of the conversation. No way, bro. Dude. But this is a wand, and spells are far more complex than a piece of lead. So here is my gift to you. I'm gonna make this really simple, okay? I can't, I lied. Say what you want about how difficult and frustrating this game can be most of the time, because when you first start out, nothing is really off the table when it comes to making you feel miserable. Oh! What? Especially when you're like me and you can't fully grasp spells and account for every mechanic. Obviously, knowledge is power, but the lack of help this game gives you really amplifies the appreciation for yourself when you sit there and actually think, and actually manage to spit something out that isn't just a mixture of different juices, but instead a well-made cocktail. Now for once it isn't you being obliterated, and it's the result of you being a little bit smarter. Even if it's something as simple as 2 spells. One is a projectile modifier that allows a spell to shoot out in a ping-pong pattern. If you combine that with a projectile that's typically shot out with minimal range but really deadly, it's now so destructive and leagues above what you've been previously shooting that it almost makes you feel like it shouldn't work. Almost like you're cheating. This game is really tough on you, but it allows you to be tough back. And you need that feeling. Especially in a world that doesn't apologize. You can be having the best run of your life, but if you have a lightning torch in one of your wands, and you go underwater for whatever reason, and equip your wand with that spell for 1 frame, that's it. You just die. Instantly. You have to restart now with a tinkle sprinkler. All your progress is gone now. You probably don't even know how you died, but you died, and now you have to restart. It's okay though. You know? It's fine. If you had the perk to give you the electric immunity, you would have been fine. Yeah, there's perks too, by the way. Add that to a layer of this growing onion. There are some perks in here that are pretty strange. I'm not sure why giving you the ability to not edit wands is ever a good idea. That's like a really important aspect of this entire thing. I might as well just chop the last couple of minutes off of this video, and you should also just stop playing because you've essentially ruined everything. There's a homunculus. Why? Every time you leave a holy mountain, a helpful homunculus is summoned. What the Some of these are actually pretty cool and can give a lot of interesting synergies. Combining levitation trail and homing shots give you a pretty clever way to deal some extra damage, and having spontaneous generation allows you to turn puke into helpful rats. That's super convenient. The game gives you the ability to drink whatever you want and get yourself sick. I'm gonna do a clever callback now on mentioning that earlier. I totally meant to do that and wasn't just a coincidence while I was writing the script. Anyways, there's a lot of combinations you can do with these perks, although the one that I definitely wouldn't take is Luki Mutation, essentially erasing your ability to fly and turning you into a giant spider. In big areas like this, like the jungle, it's a pretty big detriment. Since you're showing you all of this is going to take forever. As a matter of fact, I think showing you everything about this game and having it make sense would probably take an eternity. Not just in terms of its mechanics, but just the sheer amount of content that this game has. Which is usually the point where I'd stop the video and happily post it and be on my merry way, and then just disappear for another year. But during my playtime, I started to discover some things that I seem to have just glossed over constantly. Having an intuition that this game has a little more spice to it wasn't enough for me to really delve into any sort of interest. I was just trying to figure out how to live longer. But once you get the hang of things, you start to explore places and structures you've originally overlooked with a more observant eye. Huh. So, let's hold off on the video for a second. Maybe I'm missing something here. And maybe it's something that I can spin into the video before I upload. Some stuff was clearly designed for you to find eventually. One of the first ones you'd probably discover is basically right above you when you spawn in. A very peculiar island with a tablet and some sort of glowing shrine in the middle. Even without you doing a translation on its glyphs, you can kind of make an inference that maybe this giant floating structure in the sky that's calling for your attention has some sort of magical ability and a certain purpose. Let's do some experimenting. Maybe tossing the tablet you found into the altar might do something. Good job.
Ooh.
You're very smart. This is enough to spark at least a little bit of curiosity, which kind of makes you ask, what else can I put in here? Okay. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, here we go. Nothing touches this. I think if I hit the walls too hard, I think it might break. Hold on. I can't tell, honestly, so I think I'm just gonna play it really safe. Thank God black holes exists. Fit through, fit through. Get out of here. Stop! Don't burn! Oh my God. What the hell, bro? I'm just gonna sit here for a bit. I made it! Okay, I can't even tell this is a chest anymore. It's all bloody. Holy shit. The tablet, I feel like, is kind of a dead giveaway for a lot of people. It matches in color, and the glyph writing seems to be the same, and it's something that's easily accessible in the same area. As far as the treasure chest goes, well, it's not really what most people would bring up to the altar, since it's actually pretty difficult to bring up without telekinetic kick. It's not something you can just hold in your inventory. No, 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 no. God, dude. That alone would deter a lot of people. And a treasure chest is already in itself a treasure, and you wouldn't think it would have any other additional mechanics. You're meant to just take them for what they are. But if you just take the glyph translations literally, if you even decide to translate it with a little bit of elbow grease, you will be greatly compensated for your effort. Oh, no, this is actually just a floating worm crystal that's beneath the holy mountain. Again, really laborious to do and something I would have never even considered to bring up here. But hey, look, now there's giant worms that come down and try and attack you. Nice. You get some extra health now. Okay, huge shifts are happening here. Once you find a secret like this in any game, it becomes a little more apparent to you that what you're playing has a core that potentially runs a little bit deeper. It's not just basic secrets and little bonuses. This is a game that's gonna hide a lot of unique things from you, or at least make you think a little bit harder. And that's when you begin to ask a lot of questions. Why do I get attacked when putting more tablets into this shrine? What? And actually, you know what? What's the point of all of these anyway? And why are they so overly vague and cryptic? Why are these balls called the Orb of True Knowledge right next to them? Do they do anything else besides give you more health and an unlocked spell? What is this eyeball laser thing doing here after passing the stupid perk that turns everything into Shrek's swamp and then climbing this giant conspicuous tree with giant pillars on top? And what about the instruments scattered throughout the map? A huge balance scale with seemingly no purpose in the desert, the lake house, and the green portal right below. The watchtower? These finger statues inside the snowy depths? And the hourglass. Angel, how did you find this all out by yourself? Did you figure this all out by yourself? You must be really smart if you did. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I don't like to spoil things for myself and at least attempt to figure things out without help. But when you're tasked with making a video at least somewhat factually correct, you don't just use your experiences. You turn to the internet for the final say, which is exactly what I did. A rabbit hole. Or maybe more accurately, reaching into your pocket and instead of pulling out your wallet, you pull out the entire universe. Is probably the most accurately described analogy when you play enough of this game to warrant these questions and then decide to go, what do the finger statues do in Noita? What's the point of the broken spell that gives me a summoning portal that doesn't even work when I cast it? To then innocently scroll over to the wiki and maybe, much, much worse, YouTube. Don't look for answers in this game, unless you want to look like a fool, and realize that what you've been playing this entire time is not Noita. It's No. This isn't actually just a fragment of a Cybertruck. This is actually a very small morsel of an incredibly convoluted sequence. There's 8 of these structures, and they're all scattered throughout the map containing items used for very specific reasons, all of them either being found on accident by you, or just never found at all, because a lot of this game's world is deceptively large and hidden. So large that looking up the map online will probably make your head spin. What? Some of these structures carry 1 of 4 of the elemental essences. The essence of earth, air, fire, and water. Why the essence of water spews out lava is beyond me, but assuming you managed to find all of these locations by yourself, you'd also have to be crazy enough to have all of them on your person in order to complete the secret. Hey, but great! You have all of them. Now what? No, the way the order is supposed to go if you happen to stumble across this yourself is by finding another one of these structures hidden beneath the watchtower in the overgrown cavern that will instantly kill you if you aren't prepared, giving yourself a special radar perk that allows for you to go across the map to find a moon that's made of cheese.
No cheese growing.
Oh my god. Digging straight into the middle of said moon cheese reveals giant glyphs that translate to converge the edges. This is supposed to be more or less your starting gun. The moment of revelation. Yes, converge the edges. This makes total sense. This clearly means that you have to go back and collect all of the perks and the not really necessary but really recommended combination of spells so that you don't burst into flames with the collected essences while taking 10 years to go across the map like a crazy person. Traveling back to the cheese moon, returning to its center, and transforming its entirety into black sludge. Finding and collecting the essence of spirits on top of the other essences turns the moon into whiskey. And healthium. If you find the area with refreshing gourds, travel all the way down to the final boss of the game, and then turning him green. I'm stuck again. I'm stuck. This isn't even the secret that I meant to show you guys. But don't worry, the other one is much, much worse. This boss, deep underground and in the middle of nowhere, needs this eye to be killed. Killing him drops a white rock. This white rock needs to be placed on top of the pyramid. It's now a red rock. One of the multiple rocks you need to move forward. What other rocks? The 5 essences are the other rocks. One of them isn't actually a rock, it's a piece of poop. Okay. One of the items to complete the secret is a piece of poop. You take the red rock and a bunch of spells you've collected, nuke it to the point where it turns into a yellow circle. Feed the yellow circle 100 sacrifices, which turns into a new sun. The new sun is extremely volatile and will kill you very easily if you don't have the necessary build to withstand it. You know what? I hate everything. Why is there so much that I never knew about them? Noita is a roguelike game where every pixel is physically simulated. A game where you fight, explore, and melt your way through a procedurally generated world using spells you've created yourself. I'm not sure how to continue with this video anymore. I've had such a weird time making this video, tons of rewrites, and I have so much more to talk about now since I've discovered really what this is. Part of me feels really bad because what I've essentially done is ruin the potential experience and gratification you could have had if you would have solved a lot of these yourself. Truth is, the developers have made them so difficult to solve that it's really unreasonable for someone to figure out a lot of these without any external help. You know, how is someone expected to understand that the broken spell that's dropped from the statues is meant to be brought to the next level in an anvil room hidden in the very bottom left corner? But actually, that's pretty reasonable. An anvil is meant for shaping and fixing, and what you've brought with you is a broken spell. I don't have a doubt in my mind that someone can eventually, just by mere curiosity, stumble into this answer themselves. It's still not likely, but it's possible, which isn't the issue. My issue is that that's not the end of the puzzle, because this portal spell doesn't work in any location you put it in. Literally nowhere in this world where it might have some sort of logic to activate will it work. And, eventually, running out of chances to see where the portal goes, before you have to go through the process again. See how much patience you'll have with this. I didn't. Without a single hint, or just a mere nudge for players to make any attempt at trying to continue to complete the puzzle, you're either stuck wasting an immense amount of time trying to place the portal in every possible location you can think of, or you just give up. It's pretty ridiculous to ask of someone to have a sixth sense where you can see an object's code and realize that the statues with horizontal and vertical staffs on the 4th level are meant to be lined up and met where they invisibly intersect. Bravo to the people who found this out by themselves. Educated guesses, similar themes, and just deduction goes a long way. This isn't to say that every secret here is impossible to solve. They aren't, not even this one, clearly. I just told you how it's done, and there's even an argument to be made that Noita makes a solid attempt at handing you enough to solve some of these secrets and hidden structures yourself. The lake is a great example of this. It's something that players should find at some point, and an interesting find too, because you don't see something this large anywhere else in the game. The largest and deepest entity in this world is an empty, ominous, and evidently never-ending body of water. If you don't know what this game is about yet, what is seemingly just empty space serves as nothing more than just a mere visual anchor for you to call back on later. If you do, it won't make much of a difference. Drilling the side of this lake to get to the bottom will take you so long it's not even worth it. Maybe. Unless you have a lot of time to waste. I don't know what you do with your life. Most people can typically find this out for themselves if they play enough. There's a perk that exists that allows you to move and breathe freely underwater. Once you find it, it becomes pretty clear if you've been paying attention. This is the essence of spirits that I was talking about earlier. If you found another one of these structures already, chances are you might be open to look for more. What's down might be up, what's left might be right. And during that time, you'll find a lot more than what you were originally looking for. This game slowly teaches you that it's more than what it seems, and that being stubborn and curious is a necessity if you want to get more out of it. Being so untrusting and paranoid of the whole system that you find there's nothing left to do but to destroy the entire world, to see if there's a hidden spell that grants you omnipotence. From the lake all the way to the end of the desert, what's inside might be outside. But what's to be gained from any of this? Salvation? What, you ascend and become God after you realize that the spell you found in that statue puzzle thing kills you, or that boss you found that dies when you use spells that kill you, and when you finally kill him, the spells he drops just kill you too? No, but it definitely helps. The secrets and puzzles in this game aren't just secrets and puzzles to be secrets and puzzles. They reveal the game's actual identity. And once you realize what's available and the steps you need to complete a certain secret or find a special area, the game goes from being a linear chase of get wand and hope your wand is good enough to kill Kolmisilma and beat the game, to a beautiful network of many different routes of play. But because this game is so subversive, the person that likes looping mechanics in roguelikes is going to see Noita, play it, say, hey, wait a second, no looping mechanic. Leave, then realize through this video or the plenty of other ones that passing through the supposed game barrier with a simple flask of ambrosia will reveal a parallel world. This game's very fitting version of looping, where you now get to progress far beyond what you originally expected. You're welcome. Subscribe for more. This is an animal well. The game doesn't calibrate your brain from the start to look for anything out of the ordinary, clues or much of anything, to be honest. Noita claims to be a roguelike about wand building with a cool physics engine. Then, what I assume usually ends up happening is what happened to me. Which is fine. But it's also a really good artistic decision. Making a game that's brutal and difficult in the way that it teaches you how to play, equally as brutal and complicated and time-consuming in the way that it hides its secrets, is a really great way to cement its theme. One filled with magic, wonder, and curiosity. One that's constantly going against your expectations, one that doesn't hold your hand, and one that's essentially giving you a giant middle finger, even if that means that some players will never get to see what's on the other side. But what you get in return is a very strong, esoteric community that absolutely adores this game for what it is, and I'm glad that I get to be part of that now. Also, don't feel like I just ruined everything. There's so much more that I've missed here. Even with a video this long, I still haven't even scratched the surface on what's possible and available. You can still technically go in somewhat blind since I didn't go too in-depth on most things, so consider this more of like a head start and a good frame of mind if you want to tackle some of this yourself. And even without the bells and whistles, this game is still really enjoyable at its core. It's absolutely worth your money. Dude, holy shit. Oh, hey. Hey, this video took forever to come out. I'm really sorry. I really want to release them a lot faster, but I have the massive duty of doing all of this myself, and then also I spent like 2 months learning how to do animation only for my little red guy to have no eyes in the final copy, which is great. He looks weird. So if you want to financially support my work and want to see more often, I have a Patreon. I have a video on there that you can watch for free about how I suck. Down the line, I'd love to hire an editor or someone who could just help me out because I don't want to upload every 7 months. That's terrible. That's not an upload schedule, even though I have so many ideas down the pipeline. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Okay, bye.